old people telling us about their dreams. I wanted to be an astronaut.
Freaking shaking and like hyperventilating as Gale from Taos is like holding like essential oils over my face,
Good morning, my name is Jordy. Welcome to Jared to Jared. On this week's episode, the Jareds will discuss Reading Rainbow, Gale from Taos and Skyler from Albuquerque, Israel and Palestine, Levar Burton, and much, much more. Alright boys, the time is now.
Slumber Pod 2023 has begun, Volume 1. I say we do 2 volumes.
Yeah, no,
2 nights, 2 volumes.
Let's do it.
How do you feel about December?
I like it.
Obviously freezing.
Yes, freezing. Bro, I think your house is just cold. It's colder in here than it is outside.
I'm pretty sure it was over an old burial ground,
Yeah, it was built over that burial ground, yeah.
It's so goddamn cold in here.
Yeah, and the closet opened by itself earlier. That was pretty creepy.
They ripped you off on the insulation.
No, I love December, though. I mean, like, in the past I haven't. Like, a New York December is different from a New Mexico December.
Right,
right. Like, there in my childhood, it was always just, like, rainy and cold and... Actually, in my childhood, it was snowy, which was nice. It was beautiful. I loved it. And then I feel like in more recent years, it was like cold rain, global warming and shit. Yeah, it was just cold rain and just gray and shitty and not even like snow.
Right.
Whereas New Mexico, it's like the sun's out all year round, so you still get that sun. Up where I'm at near Taos, it's like you get some snow, but then the sun comes out. It's just pretty,
Santa Fe, very snowy.
Yeah.
When we were younger, it would snow here like freaking Minnesota or something.
Yeah,
just huge snow drifts and shit, We don't get that much snow anymore, but, we still have one of the most popular ski hills in the world.
Yeah.
And, there's still been snow in my yard for a month now. So.
It's such a nice Christmas town, too.
It is.
I'm
this
not
town
like a
goes
big
all
Christmas
out on
person,
Christmas,
but it's like it's super nice, like the plaza and just like the
right.
Firelitos and all that. Like
the Farolito walk is nice too. Have you done that?
No, I haven't.
Down Canyon Road.
No. Oh, someone was telling me about that.
Yeah,
That
every year
cool.
Down Canyon Road they light a bunch of farolitos, which is basically a bag of sand with a candle in it.
Yeah.
And but it looks really cool, brown paper bag.
Yeah.
When the candle's in it, and they line them up all down Canyon Road, and all the like people that live down there, rich people, whatever classics from Santa Fe come out. And, all the
they do like
a bunch of
bonfires
locals,
in the street
they
too,
do
right?
bonfires and a bunch of locals.
Cool.
All the locals do like Christmas caroling,
Yeah.
It's like fa la 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 la. Everybody's drinking whiskey and eggnog. It's actually pretty cool.
Yeah, it sounds really fun.
It's interesting being a local in a touristy town too.
Is that more of a tourist event or is that a local event?
There's not like a bunch of like Hispanic people going in Christmas caroling on fucking Canyon Road.
Right.
It's more of like an upper class, whatever, white.
Sure.
Probably like summer home vibes.
But
that's also not true because me and Dion brownies, but we're freaking Santa Fe hippies, plaza rats too. So we've always gone, and it's fun. Dion and his friends will go a lot. And,
it sounds cool.
And whatever, it's cool to take like the family too.
Yeah, dude. There's a lot of like festive seasonal things that go on here. Like you have the Zozobra in October or whatever.
Indian market, Spanish market.
Yeah, a lot of like cool market things.
Right.
Go on. It's very Reading Rainbow-esque.
Right.
People out in the market.
I think Santa Fe is the oldest capital in the world. And in the
US.
Country.
Yeah. I can see that.
Yeah. Which brings historical ethos, ghosts,
Yeah.
That's why our houses are so damn cold in this town.
Because it's all just fucking haunted. Amityville Horror.
So cold in here, the insulation.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know.
This is our Christmas episode. This is the holiday special.
Yeah. Ding, 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 ding.
The holiday special.
That's true. We text Santa to be on, but, he's busy this time.
Yeah, he's busy. Yeah,
That's fine. That's fine. We'll get him.
It's not a big deal.
Yeah, it's fine.
Yeah.
He did send in a really good,
He was
message.
demanding a lot.
He wrote a nice review.
Yeah,
he did.
Ho,
ho, ho. Jared and Jared.
So good.
Dear Jared and Jared, I love the apart. Mrs. Santa says hi.
Yeah, that was cool. It was cool to get that note.
Yeah.
Man, what do you think of December?
I'm Jared Snow, Jon Snow. I love born December, Capricorn.
Yeah. Do you get okay, the year's ending, right? I mean, we start to see all the kind of like
New Year. I love the change.
lists, things from 2023 and all that sort of thing.
Right.
Do you get into that? You're like, Spotify rap list, all that sort of stuff.
No, I don't do the wrap ups, but I do get into the collective feeling of transition, and to do something better for yourself and the New Year's resolutions and stuff like that. I really like that, especially now getting older, celebrating later and later birthdays.
Yeah.
I think it's good to be like, word in 2024, I'm gonna do this thing that's more healthy for me, or
yeah. Nice.
Better for my brain, travel more, whatever.
Yeah. Do you have any lined up?
I do. Yeah. Definitely, I would like to stop smoking cigs.
Yeah.
Which I've been doing a lot better on that.
Nice. Hell yeah.
I have pretty much stopped drinking other than just like with friends. I was never big on that anyways. I would like to continue going to the gym, which I've started now and I've been doing pretty good the past few years, 3 years, I would say.
Yeah.
But that's just been a saving grace. I've been going a lot more now that I'm not like, okay, it's arm day, it's leg day, it's this day, it's that day. I just go. Just like, I'm going to go because I want to feel better and sleep better and watch a movie because I'm bored and do something healthy for my brain and leave the 4 walls that I'm in,
Yeah.
And try to keep that. And as we were saying in the kitchen, I think I'm up for leaving the monastery soon. I really am. I'm feeling, in a place to search for someone.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah.
We'll see.
Watch it unfold.
The bookshelves or artifacts,
Yeah. Watch it unfold, see what happens.
How about you, man? New Year's resolutions?
Yeah. Yeah, I want to travel. I really, really want to take a trip to Europe and go explore my roots, go to Ireland, go to Italy. That feels important. Yeah, I'm feeling called to go do that. I think that will be a really special thing to just go and explore. I don't know, just go sit there and feel the rootedness,
Right.
If that's what I feel, I don't know.
Right.
I might get there and be like, fuck it, this place is dumb, bro.
I'm texting Gale from Taos.
Texting Gale from Taos, fucking Amityville.
I'm trying to hit Hinduism, man. Fuck this, yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, so definitely want to do that. I don't know, and honestly, just I've been, figuring out my life and stuff, Figured that's not the right way to put it because that makes it sound like we talked in one episode about turning your life into a problem that can be solved because then you get the dopamine rush from that, So I'm trying to step back and just sort of allow it to unfold instead of being I need to figure out my life. You know what I mean?
Like this, yeah.
That said, I'm still definitely trying to figure out my life.
That being said.
Yeah. But I don't know, man. The monasteries, the actual monastery has been cool. I mean, it definitely, it's been good, man. Even I did this meditation thing in Taos the other day. It was actually shocking. It was shocking because I fucking go into this place. It's up in this art gallery and I live an hour away from Taos, right? I'm really in the sticks up there, in the boonies. And it was like a Tuesday night, and I was like, man, it's an hour drive. It gets dark at freaking 4:00. You know, I was like, man, I gotta get out. I've just been hanging out with Roshi. She's like 82 years old, you know, which is great. Get some good wisdom, but I'm also like, I gotta go chat with some people my own age.
Yeah.
So then I take the drive and go up there, and then I go in, and like, it was two women leading it, right? Gale from Taos, and no, their names were actually Allison and Aubrey.
Gale and Allison.
We'll
take Allison.
Man, just to fill listeners in on the Gale thing, that's from Amityville Horror. There's this like hippie girl in Amityville Horror who's like, I feel the spirits. This is what's going on. And Jared was like, bro, that chick's like fucking Gale from Taos or someone. Fucking hippie ass town, you know?
Oh, so cool. Love Gale.
Yeah, so I go to this thing, and it was nice. There's like candles lit, you know, and like, go in, and Taos is so pretty, bro. It's such a pretty town, you know. So I'm walking around just enjoying the snow and the adobe houses. I really like it up there.
Yeah.
And I go in and I lie down. She has us do this like rhythmic breathing thing where it's like right? And you're doing that for fucking like a half hour straight. And I don't know the science behind it, but it does something to the body. I think it's essentially actually like, I think you're depriving your brain of oxygen. I'm pretty sure that's what's actually happening. And then, but because that's happening, you're not so stuck in your thoughts, and then you're actually more in your body. And then in this book, The Body Keeps the Score, that I've been reading, which is all about like how trauma holds on to, or the body holds on to trauma, that sort of thing. He writes about how sometimes if you're physically releasing something that you're holding on to, your body will just start shaking, right? Like crazy, kind of like a dog or something after it gets out of a pool, just like, just shaking. And that happened to me once before during a Zen meditation, where I was just like crying and shaking, right? Felt so light after. I was like, my God, wow, really released something. But that happened to me again, so unexpected. And it kind of, you know, it's definitely like a little bit jarring, because I thought, I was like, oh, I'm just going to go hang out, like do a little breathing and chat with these people, you know? And then I'm lying on the floor, freaking shaking and like hyperventilating. As Gale from Taos is like holding like oh fuck, what's that stuff called? The smelling oils or whatever, essential oils over my face, you know? Right. But it ended up being wonderful. And like afterwards, I felt so like released, and I was like peaceful, and I was like, holy cow, totally unexpected. But people have been doing these breathing exercises for thousands of years. So, and she's all in the front of the room with Tibetan singing bowls. Wow, wow, wow. Lakshmi. I'm shaking on the floor. Lakshmi. Oh man, they were cool though. And then afterwards, I was just hanging out and looking at the art and enjoying it. So it was cool. It was a really, really fun experience.
Gale from Taos and Maharaja Steve's.
Bro, honestly, I got such a kick out of the spiritual circuit, just like the fun, like the people you meet, and like the kind of like spiritualistic communities in Santa Fe and Taos. They're so funny. It's just like, man, you guys are so weird.
Those are like the it's weird. There's this culture, like Bourdain says in his episode, Santa Fe is like, which is pretty much Taos too.
Yeah.
Only place you can wear like cowboy boots, a fringe leather jacket, and holding a Buddhist blanket. You know?
Yeah, without looking like
without looking at
like
a place
anywhere else. It'd just be like, what the fuck? Like, look at that hippie, bro. Here it's just like, oh yeah, some dude at the plaza. It's cool.
Right. Not to get into like a race thing, but it's interesting how how a lot of like American, I guess, would you say, like a lot of I don't know if it's just locally, if it's something like in New Mexico where a lot of the like Hispanic culture doesn't necessarily get into things like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I have a question about that.
But this is my rebuttal to that, though, is I took that curanderismo freaking curandera class in UNM.
Yeah.
And that's basically the same shit, but it's from a Western Mexican tradition,
right,
and not an Eastern, right?
Yeah.
But it's still magical and breathing and, you know, blowing smoke on each other and chanting and, you know, medicines and magic and all this stuff. And if we think about it from like Africa, you know, whatever, Jamaica, you know, South America, we get voodoo and all this stuff, you know. It's all sort of the same thing. Everybody is like, superstitious and like,
every culture has
can
its,
think of, you know, healing from whatever. And then it's funny too, because, you know, like Owen Wilson and like Meet the Fockers or whatever. Like, his whole character is he's this rich white dude.
Yeah.
That does all this hailing stuff. Bro, and he's always taking, and he's such an archetype of like the hilarious rich dude from Santa Fe that like,
if we were in Meet the Parents, like you would be Ben Stiller and I'd be Owen Wilson.
Exactly. Be like, hey man, you know, I want some advice.
Oh man,
like, why aren't you hanging out with Deepak Chopra on your freaking yacht? What are you doing here?
Oh yeah.
Leave Deepak out of this, man. Come on. There's like a scene where like Robert De Niro has a heart attack and he like, you know, Ben Stiller's a nurse, so he's helping him out, and like Owen Wilson runs up and he's like, my method, it's not working, it's not responding. He's just like waving his hands over his chest. He's like, what are you doing?
Yeah, so good.
Yeah. But I don't know, it's funny. But then I like how you put it too. It's like, well, are we just like keeping the oxygen from our brains and like kind of hallucinating from like making ourselves almost pass out, you know?
Yes. Well, yes, and right.
But I think is that sort of like the death simulator where you're, you know, putting yourself in a place where your brain releases chemicals to release.
Exactly. Yeah. I think that's exactly it. Because and that's the thing. I don't think there needs to be like a you know, separation between like biology and science and physiology and like spiritual experience. You know, like what I actually think about spiritual experience is that it's all it is the nervous system resetting itself. Like this is, you know, physiologically a real thing. It's the nervous system resetting itself via these practices, and then we experience that reset as a spiritual experience, whether it's like feeling deeply connected with everyone in the room, or feeling or maybe seeing colors, you know, with your eyes closed, or whatever it is, whatever comes up. That's just us experiencing a physiological reaction.
Right.
But I have a question actually, because you brought up, you know, kind of race and stuff, because you're right. I mean, like in largely the kind of spiritual communities I've seen are white, you know, largely. That's not, you know, they're not like only white, you know, but
Eastern spirituality.
White. Yes.
And from an American. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. So yeah, when I say spiritualities, let me actually, I guess, define that term, right? I mean, for me, that means Zen Buddhism.
Right.
That's kind of the main thing I'm doing right now. But also just sort of like, there's this weird sort of like nondescript, almost like Whole Foods version of Hinduism that exists, where it's like, it's not real Hinduism. Like real Hinduism's fucking, if you read the Bhagavad Gita, you're like, oh, these people are like wild, dude. They're like deep in it. Like, you know, like ancient crazy shit. They were like down
I was reading an article, you know, like, even now, there's this dude who's alive, Kenji Kajamashi or something, and his arm, he kept it up.
Oh, that guy, yeah.
His arm like died. Yes. And it's just permanently raised.
Yeah. It's this dude, the whole thing. He raised his arm in a fist saying like, you know, like a almost like a protest thing, saying, I'm not putting my arm down until there's world peace. And it's been like 20 years. And the dude's arm is all like, it's skin and bones, all the muscle atrophied. It's disgusting. And the guy was in like severe pain. And he's like, that's his spiritual practice though. It's really bizarre.
You know, it's interesting too. One of the Bobs was telling me that, you know, Catholicism in his eyes and a lot of the Hispanic culture here is the church of Hispanos and like, you know, Spanish and Mexicans. That's like our church is Guadalupe and, you know, freaking Mother Mary and all this stuff, you know. And it's really weird. I feel that too. And he had like sort of like a hatred towards religions that especially like brown people that went to religions that weren't Catholicism.
Wait, who is this?
One of the Bobs. And not to get too specific.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah. So he even felt, like sort of like a racism towards, or like a betrayal of sorts for like Hispanics to be like Mormons or like Jehovah's Witness or stuff like that, because it's like a white Christianity, it's like a white American religion, and Catholicism was like the Spanish religion for Hispanics and stuff like that. Obviously crazy, but
yeah. I mean, does he know where Catholicism came from? It's like a really
right.
It's like Roman Catholic. It's exactly. Like it's in the name. Like
right.
Came from or whatever. Anyway, but yeah. So I guess my question kind of is like, well, every single group of people has their spirituality. I guess you can say largely. I think we've become a secular culture, but that's also not totally true, because you have like Christian fundamentalism's fucking crazy in this country. Yeah, you have a lot of Jehovah's Catholics, whatever. I mean, we are a Christian nation, for better or worse,
Right.
And we try to tell ourselves we're not. But anyway, yeah, I guess I don't even have a question anymore. My question was going to be like, why? Like, why does it seem like it's mostly a white population who's kind of like exploring, I guess, Eastern, traditions. But
well, I'm wondering in that sense too. There's probably like, because the Bob was like historian of Rome, actually, I'm pretty sure, cool. And the Southwest, and like and the roots grow deep with Spain.
Sure. Yeah.
Spain even tried fighting, England in a war for leaving Catholicism, and that's when they destroyed our Armada, or the French, I think it was, But in any event, I wonder if there's white people like evangelicals, and, would that be like considered like a white American stereotypical majority religion?
I've never met an evangelical, actually.
I think our presidents are evangelicals, right? Or are they Presbyterians? Protestants.
Yeah, Protestant. Yeah, because that's like,
let's take a Protestant.
White Anglo Protestants.
Let's take a white Anglo Protestant, right?
Yeah.
They probably see it as like a betrayal for white people to like become Hindu. Maybe, and not just as a spiritual betrayal, but as something linked to race too. You know what I mean? How do you feel about that?
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to ask a Protestant, I guess. I don't know. Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, I don't feel that. I mean, like,
sure.
It's like, I don't, obviously, because I'm practicing a thing that's of Japanese derivation, which it's, I'm not there for that. Some people get into it because it's like, they feel connected with the Japanese culture and stuff. And I don't know, we have some people practice with us who are Asian and feel connected to, those roots and backgrounds for sure, and then white people who, for whatever reason, feel connected to that too. Or the teacher that I'm learning from, one of her teachers is a Japanese guy in Japan, and she lived over there for a while, so she feels connected to that culture. I'm pretty indifferent towards it. I just think it's a really useful system. That's kind of it, I mean.
Right.
There are some things I like about it, the aesthetic, but I don't know. But I don't know. If someone leaves Catholicism, I mean, I don't care. I left Catholicism. I'm also still like culturally Catholic and appreciate what's there, so.
I don't know. I think
I'm like a Zen Catholic or something. But
do we also try to like fit into stereotypes sometimes?
Yes,
like if we think about Gale from Taos.
Yeah.
Like that stereotype would include a following of an Eastern religion that isn't American,
Yeah.
And like you know, being an artist.
Yeah.
And like wearing certain clothing and not, you know, shaving certain areas, and you know how it goes, like
shaving certain areas.
Yeah, there's a stereotype, right? Of like, I've dated gals from Taos all the time.
You're saying
you
like,
know,
like girls with armpit hair,
underarms and like legs or whatever.
Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Whereas like, you know, Stephanie from like Albuquerque would not, you know, be completely different. Like probably go to like the Christian faith,
right,
in Albuquerque, you know, by like Cabela's and like, you know,
well, so much is cultural,
smooth surfaces.
Yeah, I mean, so much is cultural. You know, it's like, and that's the funny thing. Yeah,
where's
you're right.
Adidas and like, you know,
I think we feel safe in our own stereotypes to some extent. You know.
Whereas, like, you know, I guess we kind of all are, which I hate that also. But, like, you know, Foucault talks about it too a lot, is how society puts us in these things.
Yeah.
But are they more like implications also of personality traits too? But, like, even take me, like, academic. My house is, like, sort of retro. I'm wearing, like, Skechers versions of Hey Dude scarves.
Yeah.
Like, you know. PhD. I don't believe in organized religion, which fits my stereotype of being a Bill Maher.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't say half the shit I'd say if I like went and prayed to Allah 3 times a day. Like, would it make sense for my type? You know what I mean?
Right. No, I think you're right. I think a lot of us do. I think we find a sense of safety and security in a type. Sure. You know, and I enjoy my type. I don't think I'm like super married to it, attached to it. I mean, I am, you know, but also at the same time, like, I hope I'm not so carrying some sort of stereotype. I don't know. I feel like I'm pretty versatile, but like you too. I don't know. Like, even, okay, you just described yourself as like whatever, academic dude, PhD, intellectual guy. I don't know, like Bill Maher, question everything or whatever, you know, constantly challenging ideas and stuff, and not buying into, like, I don't know, religion or whatever. I mean, but that's all types, because we've also had like conversations where you talk about like the influence of spirituality on your life, and you know, and there is a connection there, even if you want to call it agnostic or whatever, you know, galactic. So I mean, ultimately no one fits into a stereotype. No, but then we also do. It's kind of both. I don't know.
Right. Yeah. Even if you like ended up like dating Gale from Taos.
I would love to date. I'm just gonna put I would love to date Gale from Taos. Sure. New Year's resolution: Gale from Taos.
Gale from Taos. Date her.
Yeah, I'm gonna marry her.
Lock it down.
Yeah.
But even her
waving essential oils over my face. It's gonna be great.
You would find out something that didn't fit her type. Like, you would turn on her Netflix and she would watch like the Kardashians or something. Totally. You'd be like, what? You watch the Kardashians? I thought you like were a Hindu who like didn't shave and like.
But that's the joy of it.
But that's the cool thing.
Fun of human beings, right? Is how unexpected we can be, because that's trash when it's like
we're a roll of the dice.
Yeah, when someone fits so firmly into their type, and it's like like boring. I don't know.
Which brings me to take a look, Santa book, reading rainbow. I can do anything. Oh, man, freaking so diversity, right?
Yes.
We're not single types. We're not one single YouTube show. Shit, we're not one single book. We're not one single host. We're not one single blue collar chef, baker, you know.
All right. I just thought of something that just made a lot of sense to me. We can't fully embrace the diversity of our country because we can't fully embrace the diversity within ourselves.
Ooh. And think about it. The country as a whole, we view it as a stereotype. You know, a lot of people, America, it's always a generalized America.
This is what liberals are like. You know, this is what conservatives are like.
America.
And it's like,
this is conservative America. This is America, you know.
I like most people I meet, bro. Like, fucking,
listen, man, America's all of the above.
Yeah.
We're all living under the same roof. No, it's not. You know? Yeah.
that's not what it is. It's supposed to be, you know, fucking.
It's Reading Rainbow. It's the village. It's the village.
Well, actually, Reading Rainbow is what America's supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, okay.
Can we go deep into Reading Rainbow?
1776. All right.
George Washington.
We signed the Declaration with
Levar Burton.
Levar Burton was born. He was there. He actually signed.
Yeah.
To the year 1999. That was the peak of our civilization. We went from 1776, the beginning, all the way like a freaking meter, you know, peaking, rising to the top, you know, and the top of our mountain, people, was 1999. I'm pretty sure that's when they canceled Reading Rainbow too.
Probably, yeah. Actually, though,
why not? Yeah. I don't remember seeing it later in the 90s.
Sure.
Look that up.
Yeah, but look that up, JB. Prince Hakeem. But yeah, man. I agree. I think you're right. I'm not gonna push back on that. I think that's true. Totally.
Anybody
correct.
Listening, go watch Reading Rainbow, YouTube, whatever. It's out there.
Yeah. Well, let's get into this because, okay, Jared and I have been watching Reading Rainbow this evening, and it's so wholesome. It's actually really, really. It's like charming. It's peaceful, and the image that it creates of America is one of this like very inclusive diversity. It's not like an uncomfortable like woke forced diversity or something. It's like very natural.
Right.
They're in New York City. It's like, you know, already just a naturally diverse space. All of the messages are pretty positive, you know. It's
very positive.
Oh, there's also age diversity. You know, you see little children, adults, and then you see old people doing cool things too. And that's something that our society's lacking.
Yes,
is age diversity.
Ageism, yeah.
It's an image of complete inclusivity, and it's beautiful. It's actually so charming and nice. And it's like, damn, that's what America could be. Is this like beautiful like the rainbow children, you know, this like beautiful woven tapestry of all these different cultures and peoples and things to learn and ways to grow together. And that's Reading Rainbow, LeVar Burton.
Right.
But instead, for, you know, we're rejecting that for the drama and excitement of difference, of segregation, of all these things.
Right.
Yeah.
As we're watching an episode, we're like, what is this? What is this feeling? What are they showing us right now?
Yeah.
You know, old people telling us about their dreams. I wanted to be an astronaut.
Yeah. And then also old people are like, I just started learning piano a week ago, even though I'm 70. And then a little kid being like, me too. I started piano. And it's like, it's so cool.
Right.
Yeah.
And you have like, you know, little white kids being like, I love, you know, playing blues music, and freaking black kids freaking talking about their dreams, and little Spanish and Asian kids freaking talking about like animals and fishes.
Everyone's just on board with doing cool things. There's like an embrace of like folk culture, music, food.
Yes. Yeah. And then LeVar Burton is the most diverse, best host ever. Awesome. So peaceful too. That guy's a Zen master.
He is very calming.
If anybody
energy.
Reached Nirvana, it's LeVar Burton. We need to get LeVar on the pod.
We do. Bro, I love how that's our thing. Like, fucking Henry Rollins, go get that dude on the pod. Fucking LeVar Burton, he's got to be on the pod. What's hilarious is
we might actually get Daryl Anka on the pod.
Oh yeah, that's pretty funny.
Daryl. For sure. Actually,
man. Guys, if you haven't heard of Daryl Anka, look him up. Daryl Anka, Daryl is the first name, Anka, last name Anka. It's this dude who channels what is it? An alien?
Yeah.
He channels he channels an alien calls himself Bashar.
Yeah.
And just like does a bunch of like
who
weird
lives
talks
with, like,
and
a
workshops
race,
and
shit.
Yeah.
On spaceships and stuff.
Yeah, and has like the history of the Sumerians written down, like just crazy stuff.
Has advanced technology. Anyways, Jared with an A sent me the Bashar video one night, you know, on his journey, on his road trip.
Yeah.
And we found it fascinating and freaking we're like cracking up and watching it and freaking asking questions. And ever since then, we're like, we got to get Daryl on the pod. Daryl!
Yeah.
And we sent him an email joking, thinking he wouldn't be down. He's down.
He's down.
February, Daryl Inca.
Well, didn't he say like reach back out?
He said reach back out, but he did say he would be down. He said he'd be down. He said he'd be down. All
right, freaking Levar Burton, Reading Rainbow. That's the really the image of what America could and should be.
Right. And the authors too. Yeah. Every book is written by, a different diverse author, women, freaking different races, countries, about different stories, about different morality, racism, whatever it is. But it's not all that, right?
Right.
It's not all in your face freaking peace and liberalism, right?
It's not like
there's also like adventure stories and there's stories about life and like reflecting on what the book's actually
signaling.
About. Yeah,
I think that's what makes it so refreshing.
You know what it is? It's genuinely the last show to ever be virtuous.
Yeah.
Not a virtue signal.
Yeah, not
which is something that's toxic.
So, right. Exactly. Right. Yeah. And if you have to be self-consciously virtuous, like, oh yeah, this is totally what I believe. I care so much. It's like, bro, like check yourself, because if you have to advertise it that much, it's probably not genuine, right? But then Reading Rainbow, it's just part of the scene. It's just part of the scene. It's just like totally integrated into the backdrop. Yeah, it's just all these people hanging out together in a very natural, organic way. They're not like, we're hanging out together because we're supposed to be, and this is what it should be. It's like, no, bro, this is just what it is. It's cool and natural. Yeah. Levar Burton. Love that guy.
Love him. Levar.
Get him on the pod.
Take a look. It's in a book. And that's another thing is... It all comes from literature, too. We met Jared to Jared in literature program.
That's true.
I have one other thing to say to the listeners, too. Many other things, but here's one other side note. If you don't know what to do with your life, if you're wondering,
take a look
in the mirror, who am I? Take a look. It's in a book. You should go become an English major, literature, just like me and Jared, and just start reading. For 14 straight years, read and write.
Yeah,
I promise you won't regret it.
Yeah.
I don't regret it.
Yeah.
I mean, I regret a lot of things, but about it.
but not that.
But ultimately, the reading, loved it.
That's true, actually. Yeah, man. That's true. I wrote a super short thing for the Mountain Gate Sun Center newsletter the other day.
Nice.
And it was cool, man. I like quoted J.D. Salinger.
I put, Salinger, let's go.
I put a John Keats poem in it, Damn. It's funny because like 3 people read this thing, so I don't really care. So I'm just like, fucking... Like, if you really want to know about Zen, go read John Keats. That dude's fucking sick.
Right,
it was a cool article, but...
Roshi's gonna be like, I was reading your emails.
Yeah, and just like, I don't think this was about Zen.
Getting a little ambitious there.
Oh man, it's fun though, bro. But okay, here's something that I mentioned earlier, but I think it would be an interesting thing to talk about in the pod. Okay, so I saw this statistic that people had more diverse friend groups 10, 20, 30, 40, even 50 years ago than they do now. Friend groups are more segregated by race, by skin color. Now, more segregated now than we were 20 years ago, 30 years ago.
Right.
What the hell, man? That's so upsetting, because all the rhetoric, and this is my critique right now of, I think, where we're at as a country, or at least like millennials, or maybe just like liberal millennials, but it's like, we have all the rhetoric. We're so down with like, oh, this is what it is and how it should be, and this is what I say, and here's all like the moral truths, and that's fine, that's okay, I'm not against any of that, but like, we're so good at like proselytizing and showing on social media, oh, this is how fucking virtuous I am. But then when you look at like the lives that people are leading, we're more segregated now than we were fucking 40 years ago.
Right.
What the hell, man?
And to go back to
why is that? And
to when we were talking about this earlier in
Reading
the day,
Rainbow.
we've lost the rainbow. We've lost the rainbow. Nobody's looking in a book anymore. It's a lot of okay, so we have conservatives that are, pretty ferocious right now.
Yeah.
And then we have liberalism that has gone so left that it's right. Classic example, which I brought up now. I saw an ex-girlfriend of mine who I thought I was in love with. Heck with that girl. She's like freaking racist. Also so freaking haphazard scholar. Doesn't know what she's talking about. Just freaking Facebook headlines. Saw her on Tinder. That was devastating until I swiped to freaking picture 3. She's holding a sign.
Is this recent?
Yeah, from the desert to the sea. That means literally genocide of the Jews from the desert to the sea.
Wait, what was the desert?
There's a saying, from the desert to the sea, get rid of the Jews. Like in Israel, because Israel's like in the desert and then over the river is the sea.
Wait, what's the full saying? I feel like there's like a part of the saying that's missing or something.
No, I don't think so.
It's just from the desert. I don't know what that.
It's because I'm telling you,
I don't read the news.
It's geological, right?
Yeah. No, I know, I get it. I know the map, but
the idea behind it is
wait, this is like Hamas saying like from the desert to the sea will kill all the Jews.
Yeah,
That's what it is.
Yeah. And
is this an interpretation of the saying, or this is what the saying actually is?
This is what the saying means. It's been around forever.
Okay.
It's not like a new saying.
Okay. Yeah.
It's like, does Heil Hitler really mean like Heil Hitler, or like, I think you're misreading that.
Hey man, I'm just trying to get clear on it.
Trying to get the facts here.
Trying to get the facts, bro.
I'm sure there's people that are like, that's not what that means. That just means like, fucking, they don't know what it means, right? But if you read scholarship and don't read Facebook and you listen to scholars, like, one of the most famous scholars from New York, love the dude, freaking gay dude from New York. I can't think of his name, but he's on Bill Maher a lot, Jewish dude talking about anti-Semitism, Essentially, that's what that saying means. And they showed a map. It's like from the desert, which is here, to the sea.
Yeah.
Like the Nazis used to say that and everything.
Yeah.
The chick's part of Hamas. She's freaking. She's so anti-Semitic. It's like Nazism, man. It's like they're liberal. She thinks the most liberal person in the world, and a lot of these liberals, they're over there with Palestinian head wraps and stuff, desert to the sea. Then listen, I'm not fucking condoning what's going on over there. It's terrible.
Yeah.
War and, absolutely no killing civilians, not condoning any of that. But I'm not condoning freaking, generational, how did I put it earlier? Anti-Semitism that has been propagated primarily by white Christianity for generations, people.
Sure.
And now, just like in every other generation, where they're using stupid liberalism to segregate and propagate anti-Semitism yet again.
Yeah.
Over and over and over and over again.
Yeah.
And listen, man, you send these people to Palestine, do you realize what would happen to a girl like, my ex in Palestine? Oh my freaking God. Yeah. And they killed somebody for some chick the other day for not having a head dress, Murdered.
I have a question about that. All right. So the desert to the sea thing, is this okay? If you have some like, I don't know, like the person you're describing, right? Someone who would, go to like a pro-Palestine rally in New York or whatever, right? And they're saying from the desert to the sea, and they're an American person. Maybe they saw some headlines on the issue and feel moved and whatever, that, which makes sense, all that. Do you think that them saying that is ignorant of the fact that it's like a genocide the Jews saying, or is this person actually, genocide the Jews? Are they pro genocide the Jews, or are they carrying around a sign, not realizing the historical context of the sign that they're carrying around, and what they're actually meaning to say is Israel is killing civilians, which is what is happening,
I mean, I think that it was a.
I mean, that's not the main point you were making about the horseshoe politics
thing. It could be a mixture, obviously, you know.
Yeah.
But I do think that it's not one or the other. And I do absolutely think that a lot of these people all of a sudden start harboring all kinds of anger and racist fucking anti-Semitic feelings within themselves, you know? And are like, fuck Judaism over there, getting money from freaking Quentin Tarantino lives over there in Tel Aviv, partying down at raves. Like, they should be... And it pisses them off. I was realizing while I was doing dishes, what's really happening is it's pissing it's tapping the colonial complex, and it's hitting these people. They're mad that Tel Aviv and Israel's growing and becoming a fucking large nation state. They want to keep it primitive, baby. They want to keep them as a fucking third world generation, a third world country that can be owned and ruled and fucking taken over, just like in the 1910, 30s, 40s, British, French, Americans, you know, subconscious or not, man. I think it's fucked up all around.
Do you think people are thinking that much about Israel? Maybe it's subconscious. I don't know. But for me, honestly, like, it's not on my radar. It hasn't been until recently, right? But like, if I don't know, let's say 5 years ago or something, you were like, hey, what are your thoughts on Israel? I'd be like, don't know. I'd need to go read about it. I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
we're rational human beings, though, you know. We're not me and you. You've never called me or like, yo, I'm going to a fucking rally tonight and fucking, like, you know, for freaking Free Colombia or something like that, you know what I mean? Or I'm gonna go to like a Free Palestine rally. To, like, me and you, for people that go to rallies and make signs and paint them and shit, some shit's going on in their mind, right?
Yeah.
And listen, obviously it's terrible what's happening over there. Like, I'm not saying it's good for the, you know, on either side, obviously, you know. And prior to the attack by Palestine, which they've made multiple of them, you know, it was pretty messed up. It was sort of like a District 9 situation over there at the Gaza Strip. Like, Israel, like, yes, lots of people would go missing, killed. They're the ones in charge of the food that goes in, comes out, you know.
Yeah, it's insane.
So, yes, everything is very, very complicated.
Yeah, it's apartheid.
You know? But,
yeah. Yeah, and like, okay, going back to like the from the desert to the sea thing, like, I think, okay, I will say, I think it's very important to know historical context. And I think that's something we're actually not that good at as a society where, you know, I think we do like say these you know, this example, say a slogan thinking that it means, you know, maybe I don't want people killed, right? I mean, I'm going to assume, you know, I like to see the best in people. I'm going to assume that most people going to rallies or whatever, you know, they're there not because they're raging anti-Semites or something like that, but because their hearts are breaking. They're seeing what's happening and it's breaking their hearts. And maybe without the full story or full historical context or something, you know, they want some sort of outlet, you know, to express that heartbreak. And that I understand, that I totally respect, you know, but then should there be an element of just like, okay, well, what's the historical context? What are both sides? Blah, 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 all of that. Is this slogan I'm carrying, where's it actually coming from? What's it mean? And this is George Orwell, right? I mean, George Orwell talks about,
Derrida too, you know?
Yeah, talks about the internalization of slogans as a kind of thought control, right? That the state uses to, you know, propagate certain ideas. And it's like, and they all sound good, right? I mean, they all sound good. Look at like pro-life and pro-choice, right? Pro-life isn't saying like, they're not calling themselves anti-abortion or anti-women's rights. They're calling themselves pro-life. And on the pro-choice side, they're not saying, you know, we want to kill babies. They're saying, you know, we're pro-choice. So it's like,
yeah, they're not saying we're anti-life.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Obviously. Right. So it's like, you know, nothing is going to like present, none of these slogans are going to come out in a way that's, obviously unappealing or something like that. It's all going to be sort of like sugar coated, you know? So I think like, you know, we absorb these slogans without realizing that's a form of thought control, you know? And I think it's important to like challenge slogans and challenge, you know, what's going on, but then also hold space for the heartbreak, you know, because I mean, you know, it's scary. It's devastating. The images you see online, and it's like, my God, it's just absolutely horrendous, you know, and I can't speak, you know, deeply about that topic because, you know, I haven't done the appropriate reading or anything, and I don't want to, so I'm going to plead ignorance here. But what I can say though is I think that people in America who are reacting to this are generally reacting from a place of empathy and heartbreak, and then maybe their expression of that empathy and heartbreak is misguided. So
I've dated a few Gales, and especially,
and maybe I'm wrong. You know, I also, what do I know?
Especially, you know, Skyler from Albuquerque, who I'm talking about. You know, she virtue signaled AF going to these rallies where I'm gonna put this on, you know, social media, on Tinder and everything. Oh, and she used to, one time she told me, tell me I'm white, you need to teach me. And I was like, what? Teach you what? Like,
right.
What are
that's
you talking?
Not
that's
Rainbow.
not equality. Yeah. That's not reading Rainbow. This isn't The Village.
Right.
You know, constant virtue signaling. But then when it would come down to it, she'd tell me all kinds of weird racist shit.
Yeah.
Like I was like ashamed of you at my parents and stuff like that. Just like, you were what?
Wow.
You know?
That's like really shitty. Yeah.
Yeah. And like, you know, you know, I think a lot of our society is, look at me, virtue signaling.
Sure. Yeah.
I think a lot of our society is getting cooked up by being haphazard and reading a bunch of stupid headlines on Facebook and Instagram in our echo chambers.
Right.
And, you know, a big part of our society, which leads into that too, is not knowing any of the goddamn facts or the reality of any of the situations, you know.
Sure. Bro, I'll fucking
and think about this, man. Like, Gale from Taos, if you're out there, whatever, you know, anybody.
Gale from Taos.
I'm sitting here, you know, good friend, family, whatever. If a bunch of freaking Canadians came in here, you know, on their like in go-karts and like took my daughter and my brother and like his new kid and my dad and shit, and they were now like getting like rape warfare, which is Hamas is saying they're down for, and that's what they're doing, which is wild. That's like crazy over ISIS. I would be furious, especially if they're just here in America, like living their freaking best lives, like Dion going to a concert or something like that. And now they're getting freaking drilled and murdered in some tunnel awful. In Canada. I would be freaking furious. And then to see a bunch of people that I work with or something advocating for the people that stole my family away from me, I would be out over their spirituality and their religion. I'd be like, what the?
And you know
people
what?
that put down women, you know, so corrupt, and drugs and laws and freaking abuse of children and all this shit and extortion and you're protecting them. What the?
Yeah. And you know, but the example that you just used, that's like a singular instance, right? I mean, that's like, okay, the Canadians came down out of nowhere and grabbed Brother Dion and fucking dragged him up to Canada and whatever, right? But I got lost in the image. But the reality would be, in you know, if it was the right analogy, it would have been like, well, for the past 50 years, it's been going back and forth, and no one knows where the violence started. Right at this point, it'd be you know, or more than 50 years. It would be like, well, okay, the Canadians just stole Dion, right? But like 3 weeks ago, you and me just went up to Canada and just, you know, wrecked some shit there.
Right.
And then we're pissed because they took Dion, but then we're also, but without acknowledging, like, yeah, but we were also kind of fucking around in Canada last week, so.
Right.
But then that added on for generations and generations and generations, and it's like,
hundreds of years,
yeah, and it's like, how do you begin to unweave that knot, bro? I mean, I just like, you know, I literally can't even begin to wrap my head around that, and I'm not a diplomat. It's not up to me to try and do so. But like, I mean, that's really, I mean, the amount of generations worth of pain and anger and violence and grief and, you know, you did this to my brother and my sister and all, right? And then the other, well, you did this to my mother and, you know, and it's like, my God, it's how do you begin to unweave that? I don't know.
Right.
Thank God I don't have to, you know, I'm not, that's not my life. I'm not involved in that.
You just gotta stop, you know?
Yeah.
And not to say that the Israelis weren't doing similar stuff behind the scenes, whatever, on both ends. Just stop. You know, and nobody's there. So Americans, stop going to protests over this. You don't know what's happening. It's been terrible for hundreds of years. If we knew the reality of the atrocities on both sides, nobody would be going.
Sure,
the only rally we should be going to is a sign that doesn't say from the desert to the sea, stop.
Yeah.
Like from the desert to the sea, reading rainbow, peace. Yeah. Stop. You know.
Yeah.
Take a look. It's in a book. That's the only sign we should be holding right now.
Yeah.
You know.
That's a funny phrase. Take a look. It's in a book. That's so like, it's almost like, I don't know. There's something almost like sly about it. It's just like, it's like riot. It's like,
a little
take
sassy,
a look, bro.
too.
Yeah, it's a little sassy. Like, take a look,
that.
bro. It's like, cut the shit. Look, it's in a book.
Start telling people that. Take a look. Yeah. It's in a book, bro.
But bro, too, also something that comes up that like, I don't think people acknowledge is like, okay, the divisiveness in America, which is fucking crazy, right? Israel, Palestine, you know, that shit started happening. And immediately people on social media, wherever, was just like, you got to pick a side. Immediately, there wasn't even like a moment to be like, well, you know, maybe, you know, can just feel like grief and empathy and things like that. Nope, pick a side real quick. Now, do it. And if you don't, that's because you're a centrist pussy. You know, it's like, and that's what it is. People actually hate, you know, just like moderates, essentially, you know, online anyway. I've never come in contact with the person who's just like, fuck you, you moderate. But like, you know, online, that seems to be the case. But like, see, and that's the thing too. It's like, okay, is that even real? Because in my day-to-day existence, people are like pretty down to just talk and share ideas. And sure, there's assholes here and there. Absolutely, for sure. But I mean, for the most part, you know, it's like things are in my in-person reality. Things are, you know, kind of nice. It's online.
Which is
that people
funny
are nuts,
because, you know? I put that on my dating profile before Hinge.
Oh, what?
Moderate,
just like prefer in person?
Moderate.
Oh, moderate.
And
politically moderate.
I get like less than if I put liberal.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Then I get all the like Gales from Taos.
Yeah.
But then I bet you if I were to
let's not mix up Gale from Taos, bro. Gale from Taos is not. Gale from Taos is not
fucking from the desert to the sea. All right.
No,
all right,
dude.
all right.
Gale from Taos. All right. Let's get clear. This is an important issue.
All
let's get clear on Gale from Taos, because Gale from Taos is not this like, you know, pissed off all the time on Facebook news, whatever, right? Gale from Taos, she's up in Taos, dude, just like hanging out in the woods.
Skyler from Albuquerque.
That's a different person.
Which is good because Gale, I don't know if you've ever seen Breaking Bad. Have you seen Breaking Bad?
Oh, like half of it.
His wife, Skyler, she's like the worst. Everybody hates her, so it's perfect. Skyler, Skyler, and they live in Albuquerque in the show. So,
right. Yeah, I know. Gale from Taos is cool, man. She's gonna like,
hey, leave Gale out of this,
leave
bro.
her out of this, bro. She's gonna like hang out and like talk with you about some like visionary experiences she had. She could be like, oh, dude, fuck, I just did this meditation retreat. That shit was just like. The world is just so beautiful, you know. Like that's Gale from Taos.
I love literature, man.
Man, I read this poem by Rumi. It's just so beautiful. Like that's
Lord Byron's so good.
Lord Byron. She doesn't read Lord Byron.
What's your favorite poem? I've never read him, but I just feel his vibe, you know.
Oh, hell like, yeah.
I could feel him.
Oh, man, that's so funny.
Spirit.
Bro, I gotta check myself on that, because sometimes I do like catch myself doing that where I'm just like, well, I don't know shit about that thing, but the vibe around it, you know.
I would be careful too that you don't fall for novelty.
What do you mean in the spirit realm?
In the relationship realm. end up dating Gale from Taos simply as out of novelty. Because like earlier today, you're telling that story that you're also kind of like cracking up about her like math comments and stuff. And yes, you were like intrigued, but it wasn't like I actually feel the vibes of math too.
No, different people.
It was
different people. The math conversation was just a conversation.
Right on.
Yeah, different people.
Okay, not Gale.
Right. No, this was so funny that it's the girl who like her and her mom run this gallery in Taos. Cool people, but it's just like it's such a funny comment. Yeah. No, I don't know math. I just feel the vibe of it. Like, hell yeah. Right on, man. That's cool. Cool. Yeah. No, but well, I'm still also like literally I'm still doing my like monastery trip, I'm not.
That's true.
Yeah.
That's true.
Honestly, even
I think everybody dates novelty though. That's like part of finding a mate is what novelty you think find interesting.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with that, But one more thing I want to add about the political divisiveness thing. I think what people also don't realize is that so much of the shit you see online politically, it's literally like Russian trolls who are like pitting us against one another.
How true do you think that is?
No, that's 100% true. That was proven in 2016.
How many would you say?
Like a lot. Like there's like bots and shit. It's like pretty common. Dude, there was an event. I think I mentioned this on the pod once, but there was an event, I think 2020. There was a Black Lives Matters event in Washington, D.C. And then there was a counter rally, all these, fucking Proud Boy idiots, right? And then a fight breaks out. It gets violent. It gets crazy, right? And guess who organized both events? Fucking Russian bots. That's a real thing, So it's crazy. Like the shit actually goes on. So, I mean, I would also just be like, okay, fine, you're going to these rallies, et cetera, et cetera. You want to express some feelings. Great.
This is what bothers me.
Bro, where is it coming from?
This is what bothers me about civilization, especially, Skyler's from Albuquerque, is you can get manipulated by a Russian bot. I've seen bots out there in gaming worlds and in social media worlds, Reddit and stuff. Uh-huh. You always know if you're smart enough.
Right.
But there's always a little thread of Skylers that are like, fuck yeah, like what? This isn't child. Like fucking fuck. Let's meet up. Let's do it. Let's fucking meet up. And they're like meeting up with a robot.
Right.
Because it's just an echo chamber.
Well, and it's going to get worse, right? Because our reality is getting more and more and more slippery. It's like between, bots, deep fakes, AI, like we have no idea if what we're looking at online is real.
I mean, they think Biden died a while ago.
That like maybe,
They showed him at the beach with freaking, Mrs. Biden.
Wait, I think I said that.
Dude looked ripped. He's a freaking alien.
Bro, I think I said that on one of the first pods. I was like, or maybe just in conversation, I was like, bro, Biden might be dead.
I think we did talk about that, actually.
I think that was our theory.
Yeah, that was. They're stealing our theories now on Discord.
They're stealing our theories, bro.
Wow.
Yeah. No, but all right. So, Biden's dead already. Shit's crazy.
What can we trust,
Gale
and I think this goes back to last week's episode. Is free will? What is free will? What are the detriments of cult thinking, of liberal thinking, conservative thinking ideologies? Is it takes you away from thinking on your own, thinking for yourself. And I think that's like one big thing about having true freedom is the ability to think on our own. I really don't think reading some freaking bullshit online and then making some super racist freaking genocidal sign and going out to the street is going to do anything for anybody. Unless you were like the fucking ambassador to we're really involved in and I think it was probably Foucault talks about like the layers of like people that are part of like sheets, you know, And most people that go to protests, they're the thinnest sheet you can buy at a store. They're this thin. They don't know shit about the fucking subject, and they're not going to cause any warmth or comfort to that subject other than an aesthetic, which is the oversheet.
I'd argue it depends on the person,
Just the oversheet. But there's people that are gain thickness, that are more involved, that have rights to do these things, Obviously, like a freaking Martin Luther King was a fucking blanket, a quilt, because his thickness of involvement his whole life was dedicated to this one thing. You could think about it. He studied, he wrote about it.
He was like a genius. Yeah, I mean,
he wasn't just some random freaking dude from Pennsylvania that was like.
But the random dude from Pennsylvania was also just as relevant in the Million Man March. Were you just gonna have Martin Luther King? No, you need 999,900 whatever extra people there, because everyone matters, and I'd argue that, like, okay, take Occupy Wall Street, right? There's this narrative going around with Occupy Wall Street that, like, fucking hippies, these are just dumbass college kids, don't know shit about finances, all that sort of stuff. And that narrative was actually created by the corporations, by the media, by Wall Street to dismiss everything that the Occupy Wall Street people were coming up, right? It was an ad hominem attack, pretty much. You had the occupiers who were like, it's a fucked up financial system. Look at 2008. And, intelligent people, whether they were college kids or adults or whatever. All these people who were like pissed off, felt disenfranchised. And even if they didn't, couldn't talk to you about finances for an hour straight or something like that. These are people who had the experience of being taken advantage of, and they could speak to that experience, right? And then there's that narrative of just like, it's a bunch of hippies, fucking idiots. And it's like, no, dude, it was the power structure that was pushing that narrative, I think if you go into any protest, whatever the issue, you're going to find a large group of people who are deeply intelligent, who are well read and care about the issue and all of that, and then you're going to find a group of people who, whatever, have some weird shit going on that, whatever it is, I remember even in Albuquerque 2020, in the protests / riots, all these things were going on. I remember Albuquerque one night had some looting and stuff like that. And I ran into this kid who lived in my apartment building at the time, right? I'm like walking home or something, fucking helicopters. I think we were hanging out that night. We were like skateboarding around on top of a parking garage, like looking downtown, and saw these helicopters going down, fucking smoke, like crazy shit, right? And then, so I'm going back home and I see this kid with like, just like a backpack full, an arm full of just like a bunch of expensive liquor, right? White kid, kind of like druggy looking white kid. And he was just like, bro, you got to get down there. There's so much free shit, and he's all excited. And I was just like, cool, man. Yeah, whatever. But like, I was like, dude, fuck you, man. It's like, fuck you. Right. It's like, fuck you. You're giving so much ammo to, the like alt-right people, to all that, right? Everyone who wants to say like, oh, Black Lives Matters is nothing but rioters and looters. It's like this fucking druggy white kid who's just like stealing all the liquor and breaking windows because he thinks it's fun is fucking ruining it for everyone, essentially, Right. And, so similar thing, I think, like, okay, you look at like BLM largely, to the extent that I was talking to people, reading about it, whatever, seemed pretty good, made sense. Like, I don't know. I was like, cool. Yeah. Like, you guys are right,
Yes.
But then was there a pretty significant group of people, significant in size group of people who were like, doing all of these really shitty things, and taking advantage of the moment in the worst ways possible. Yeah, totally. Those people also existed, but does their existence then negate the entire message or the entire movement?
Right. No, of course not. Right? Yeah. And yeah, the larger things matter. Like I say, the people that are actually invested in these topics of morality, blah, blah, blah. Let's listen to them, And that's just like doctors, like, you know, whatever it is, you're a doctor of history, MD, you know, JD, whatever it is. Mm-hmm. Listen to that person about their subject because they literally spent their entire life studying one fucking thing.
Right.
You know, did you spend your entire life studying one thing? Right. You know, no, you didn't. So don't talk out of your ass about that one thing that, you know, you know, and I think that's mainly what I'm getting. And I love that story.
Yeah.
Because this was brought up too. I was watching, I think it was even on Bill Maher, where like a lot of these liberals that, you know, on Facebook and stuff that the protesters and protests during the George Floyd stuff. Virtue signaling, well, I'm this, I'm freaking, you know, diverse, I'm the fake village, right?
Mm-hmm. The fake village.
They're fucking robbing stores that were owned by minorities.
Right, yeah.
They weren't even looting Targets and shit. They were going to freaking Lynn Fun's freaking Owl's liquor and stealing his liquor, right?
Yeah.
Migrant.
Yeah.
Or freaking, you know, some black dude's freaking clothing store and they family and they're stealing all their shit. It's like, oh, cool. You know, and then you go home and you virtue signal away. Fuck the white man, fucking, you know, cops, fucking, you know, fuck cops. Well, it's like, dude, you're making everything worse. You're just, you know.
Yeah. Or to use another example that's like a bit less close to home, in Dublin, like a few weeks ago or something like that, there were riots. And I didn't fully understand the situation. It was like some kid got stabbed by like a crazy person. And then actually I think it was like some guy from Brazil or something like that, but who lived in Dublin for a long time. He was like an Uber Eats guy or something on a scooter and like, you know, took his helmet off and, you know, knocked down the guy with the knife and actually kind of saved the day. But then like there's some sort of like, I don't know, the messaging online was all fucked up. So then all these like alt-right sort of people are like, the fuck Brazilian did it, you know? And then, and then there's, you know, there's fucking chaos. There's like this riot in Dublin and like, but it was all kids. It was all these fucking like 19-year-old, 20-year-old assholes, you know, who just like thought it'd be fun to just set shit on fire, you know, and it wasn't coming from, you know, any kind of, you know, legitimate group or movement or something like that, you know. But for some reason, I think it's also just the moment we're in, you know. I mean, people are so fucking more down with violence than they've been in a long time.
Well,
you know?
And again, to pull it all back together, this goes back to your original thought of why aren't there, you know, more interracial friendships, the least amount now.
What's with that?
Than ever. And I think it's all part of this, right? Where we're pulling away from each other, whether you think you're being, the more diverse you think you're being, the more you're pulling away, you know, and the more conservative you think you are, you're still pulling away.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think there is some sort of like gray side of the force here where, you know, we need to get back to equality is what it is.
Yeah.
And a lot of the liberals, though well-intentioned, perhaps, you know, to go along your train of thought there.
Sure.
They end up, you know, encouraging segregation.
Yeah.
And not equality. And that was one of Dr. Coleman's big things, Finney's things, is the lack of equality. You know, it was always like, oh, well, let's, you know, hear what the black man has to say about this. And he's always like, what? We're all just equal here. Why do you got to do that to me all the fucking time? Like, I didn't say, let's hear what the three white like, women have to say. You know. And it's just like, you know, white savior too with the like, well, let's give apparitions. Let's give them, you know, it's like, no, I don't save me. Stop. You're not going to save me with your fucking $100 a month.
Right.
And then you go home and be like, oh, I saved a black person today because I gave them $100 in taxes. It's not going to do shit. Equality, how about that? And then, you know, us as minorities, we can make our own path in our own ways and our own generations of schools and graduates. And
yeah. And I think too with that
reading rainbow, hashtag reading rainbow.
Take a look. It's in the book. And I think too with that that statistic or whatever about like, you know, people have like fewer or less diverse friend groups now than they did decades ago. I think people just have fewer friend groups, period. So actually now I wonder about that too. Is it like, okay, is it that people have less diverse friendships, or do they just not have friendships, which, you know, by virtue would mean less diverse friendships, but it's like just less friendships generally. I like
that too.
Which is actually true. I mean,
isolation.
Yeah, I mean, isolation is, you know, we're a much less socially cohesive society.
Incels,
now. Yeah.
Right. And this goes into a lot of like the incel thing of why it happens. Nobody's socializing.
Yeah.
And you know, a lot of the ways, you know, humans mate with other humans is by going to the freaking penguin watering hole and hanging out with freaking, you know, Gale the penguin, you know.
Gale the
penguin. Gale from Antarctica, you know.
Yeah.
And we're so like work from home. Freaking game at home, YouTube, whatever. We never end up meeting people, and then freaking, you know, we're having virtual sex with people on our phones, and that's fucking bullshit. I don't want to get free stupid pictures. Come over, let's like hang out like real people, you know? Like, what is all this like virtual?
Yeah.
You know?
And I wonder if these protests and stuff are a response to the social isolation, where it's like people, you know, they're just like blowing a fuse and just like freaking out, and then because there's no like in-person supportive communities and stuff like that, you know, people end up like kind of latching on to like, oh well, I'm on Team Palestine, I'm on Team Israel, and that's my community. And it's like,
well, then that's the thing too. What would Reading Rainbow say? What would Levar Burton say? You know, what would LBD? What would Levar Burton do?
Yeah. WWLPD.
Would he go to a protest and say, you know, stop?
What do you want to do when you grow up?
You know, stop killing civilians. Period. You know, that seems pretty likely, you know, just stop fair. War, you know, take a look, it's in a book. Or would you see Levar at a freaking protest saying, okay, stop killing Palestinian civilians, now let's genocide Israelis. So that will make you happy? As if it was the opposite, Hamas was bombing Tel Aviv, then it would be cool if a bunch of Israeli babies were dying.
Yeah.
Then what the fuck does this sign mean? Take it down. Take a look. It's in a book, people. Freaking like think.
Oh, that's our episode title.
Oh,
take a look. It's in a book.
Love it. Yeah.
Yeah. What would Levar Burton do? It's a good question.
So this is volume 1 of fucking the Slumber Pod. Jared's down for a few days before he heads out. Back to Long Island. So
yeah.
This is volume 1. Volume 2 tomorrow. We'll probably do a little bit of going out, about in the town, Christmas time. It's also our annual Christmas special, our first annual Christmas special at the observatory, Galactic Observatory.
Yeah, here at the observatory.
We have our globe.
Yeah, it's a nice globe.
And maybe do a movie tomorrow. Which movie are we gonna do?
It's Do They Live? You gotta see it, man. It's so good.
They Live. And then maybe
it fits into the village conversation too.
Good.
Yeah.
If we have time,
it's very Foucault. It fits in.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Plus, we love, you know, freaking John Carpenter movies.
John Carpenter movies, rip.
Genius.
So good.
Genius.
Yeah. Let's hit up El Rey, go get some beers, come back, watch
Maybe
They
get
Live.
Dion on a mic for a minute.
Dude, I want to get Dion on a mic.
That would be really
before
good.
the Canadians take him.
Right. There go Canada, you sons of bitches.
They took Dion.
Nah, Hagrid. Freaking don't drink the maple syrup, Hagrid.
Man. But yeah, all right, cool. All right, that's volume 1. We'll be at El Rey tomorrow. Come say what's up. This podcast probably won't post till after. You know, use your time jumper crystal. Come back and hit us up at El-Ray. We'll do a live pod session.
Yes, love that. Anybody, time travelers out there too.
Any time travelers, come hang out with us tomorrow.
Set the date and time.
It's our tomorrow, but you're like 3 days.
On behalf of the Jareds, thank you for listening. Follow and tell your friends about the show. The Jareds will be back next week, and always remember, you can go anywhere. You can do anything. Just take a look. It's in a book. Talk to you on Volume 2 of the Slumber Pod.